Our first set of questions. Jennifer Dougherty. The Board of Aldermen recently passed legislation authorizing receivership, which FCAR supported. However, this is likely to be a sparingly used mechanism to deal with blighted properties. How can the city use its existing tools to deal with the majority of problem properties that do not rise to the level of receivership? That's a 2-minute response.
Well, we have plenty of existing laws and can use them through our code enforcement department. In fact, when I was mayor, we used the most powerful tool, which was condemnation and taking by eminent domain, property at 20 West 4th Street. Not many other people remember that, but let me refresh your memory. A duplex that was dilapidated had been fined and fined and fined. The property owner was ignoring the entreaties of the city. What we did was follow the process, ultimately taking the property owner to court. Locally, we lost. We knew that we had the legal authority to do it. We went to the Court of Appeals. We won the month after I left office. The city does have the right to take properties for conditions of blight by using eminent domain and paying the property owner fair market value. We did it. We won the case. That property sits 8 years later, boarded up. The guy who owns the property next door tries his best to keep his property in good shape. But he and other property owners adjacent to derelict properties don't think the city will use the tools that they currently have. A couple things that we can do besides receivership and besides using eminent domain to take properties, because those are the ultimate steps, is to make sure that you're working with the neighborhood advisory councils and the Downtown Frederick Partnership, making sure that we can conduct an inventory of the properties that are derelict. We need to make sure that we know what is derelict, what we're finding, what we're using in our existing code enforcement rules to participate with the property owner to fix the problem. But the only person in this room who has been willing to demonstrate that they will fix the problem is me. And we have to get off the stick on this, because this is hurting our city. It's hurting our property value, and it hurts our ability as realtors to sell properties adjacent to these. Thank you.
Okay, now we'll have 1-minute rebuttals or follow-ons to that 2-minute response. Karen Young?
There's a combination of both incentives and punitive measures for dealing with blighted vacant properties. The incentives are actually obviously tax breaks. There are a number of punitive measures. Receivership, I believe, is the last resort. There are other things that I don't think the city has explored enough, such as administrative search warrants. I have put our legal department in touch with somebody in another jurisdiction who is using this tool aggressively. We also have the potential of having some legislation passed this year. At my urging, our state senator brought forward some legislation that would fine a blighted property up to 3 times its tax rate if it refused to deal with its blight. And that's coming back this year as a local bill between Frederick and Washington counties. We do need to be more aggressive, but our code department is doing a good job as they've been staffed more appropriately.
Thank you. Randy McClement?
Yes. We do have a number of tools, and receivership is the last one. We are currently working to form a receivership party to make that last tool workable. The nice thing about receivership is the fact that it puts it into the hands of the court. The court will decide what the disposition of that property be with the receiver. The idea behind code enforcement is compliance first, and then we use the tools in the tool basket to go further with those who are not compliant. I think our code enforcement have done a great job over the years. We talk about blighted and vacant properties, but to be honest with you, there's a handful of really big known properties that fall into that category. The vast majority of properties are individual homeowners or smaller business owners that actually will come into compliance if they take the time to sit down and talk the system through. That's what we try to do. This is not about going out and beating up on people. It's about trying to get the problem solved we do have the tools, and we're willing to use any of the tools in the toolbox we have.
Thank you.